I want to talk to you about your relationship.
Yeah.
Because your husband is older. How long have you guys been married now?
We are going to be married for 13 years in
Amazing.
July. Yeah.
And I would imagine that some of the criticism that you get is around that.
Oh my God.
My ex-husband was older than me.
Yeah.
30 years older than me.
Oh,
Huge
wow.
age gap. Yes.
That's serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
I'm
my
playing
ex
baby
now.
games here with the 18-year difference.
Yeah. But I received, like probably expected so much judgment about that. So how do you navigate that?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, being together for 13 years, having 3 children, building businesses together, I just feel like it's kind of irrelevant. When I was younger, I got married at 21. So back then, it bothered me, but not to a point where I would question the choice that I made. Because something greater than me, like, told me that I'm moving in the right direction, that I made the right choice. So that was very helpful. But yeah, it triggered me. But it also fueled my motivation. I don't know if I would have pushed as hard to find my own thing if it wasn't for all the trophy wife, comments and kind of ideas. So I'm very appreciative for those. But I think at this point, I don't know. I was talking to my friends. I can't imagine being with a man my age.
Same.
Like, I don't even know. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I think for me, I've always craved being in a partnership or being beside, a person that will want to provide like an environment for me to flourish, because he so like knows who he is, then that he has the capacity to be like, go, I'm here. I love that. I don't think a man my age could have figured it out. I always think about it. Like, what if not always, Gary's going to listen. It's like, what are you thinking about? But I sometimes think about, if Gary was my age and we're both in the stage of life where we're figuring ourselves out, how does that look like together? Like, that must be so hard.
Yeah, I have no interest in that either. The 30-year age gap for me was obviously huge. Honestly, I don't know if you felt this way when you met Gary and you were very young. I know that you said that you felt like he was kind of healing something for you, and you did kind of want that provider, not necessarily like material provider, but somebody who created exactly what you said, that stability, that environment, that safety net for you to go out and explore. And that was a beautiful thing that I had in my marriage as well. But I didn't really feel the age gap initially.
Yeah.
Everyone else did. And I know, like, looking at us, because he was so much older, it was, probably kind of jarring. But he and I met through sobriety, and I was a couple years sober, and it was such a huge part of my life. And I feel like people who have been through that and who are in sobriety and actively practicing recovery, we speak the same language. It was the language of the heart. And so I felt like that kind of eliminated whatever other barriers there were. And we really did so much together to share a life together to bridge that gap. And then as we both got older, and I was kind of growing in one direction and he was in another, and we just ultimately came to the decision that like we couldn't bridge that gap, became a chasm. And
listen, it's a real concern.
Yeah.
When I came to my mom at 20 being like, I met this guy, he's 38 and this is going to be my husband, she told me, right now he's young, so it looks this way, but it's going to change. Honestly, he told me. He also, like, we had to sit down and have this conversation. And, he said, I'm going to do everything in my powers to stay youthful and healthy and all the things. But life happens and you get older. So that's just something for you to know and make sure that you are aware of it. So I really much appreciate kind of the transparency that we had in that conversation. And right now, I feel like he's honestly, he feels younger than I feel. But so I really appreciate the amount of hard work he puts in. But I don't know how it's going to look in the future, and no one knows. And we talk about it all the time. I sometimes have people reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm in this relationship with a big age gap. Like, I love your relationship with Gary. this is like a model for me. And I'm like, this is a lot of things to consider. Don't look online and be like, oh, this is how it's going to look like. Because we still have the rest of our lives ahead of us. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So there's definitely its own disadvantages. But we kind of decided, we deal with those once they appear.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandparents had a 16-year age gap, and they were like so madly in love until the end. And she actually passed away before him unexpectedly, not to be morbid. But I remember when I was in that relationship with my ex and people were saying, well, do you want to be a caretaker? And I'm like, first of all, we're looking like so far down the future. And they are things that you have to consider. But at the same time, I was like, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Like, we don't know. I mean, yeah, that would be best case scenario, but you just never know what's going to happen in life. And I'm sure you felt this way. I was like, I don't want to not take a chance on this relationship because of some hypothetical that could potentially happen in the future.
You can't live life like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the world proves us every day how, those plans are just an idea in your head.
Yeah.